Symmetric authentication. Should we use it more often? When talking about end-to-end encryption or communication over a secure channel, we're dealing with a client and a server. I suppose this could be another client, but in this case, we'll say it's a server. And the communication happens over a public channel. That is, people can see the data that's being transmitted. In order for this channel to be considered encrypted or secure, these external viewers should never be able to interpret the bytes that are being transmitted. There are two general classes of encryption: symmetric and asymmetric. Asymmetric encryption is often used as a key sharing mechanism, a way to begin a session or initiate some kind of communication with a party. Asymmetric encryption uses a mathematical problem that can be divided into two parts, a public and a private key. The public key is shared with a party requesting a session. In order for that party to be able to share a secret, that public key is used to encrypt that secret in a way that, in theory, only the server should be able to decrypt it with the private component. This is an extremely powerful and useful technique. The symmetric authentication is possible, but only if a key has been shared previously. If both parties have knowledge of a secret key, then we can implement a symmetric authentication pattern. On further inspection, we can recognize that there are some problems with both approaches. For example, with an asymmetric authentication, the identity of the server can be spoofed to provide what is called a man-in-the-middle attack, where secrets are being shared with an unknown party. Symmetric authentication routines are subject to replay attacks if the protocol hasn't accounted for them. Replay attacks are rather trivial to defeat, whereas a man-in-the-middle attack is a constant security threat. It depends on large factors like network topology and third-party server integrity. Oftentimes we do things just because, well, that's the way we've been doing them. We use asymmetric authentication a lot. Every web request that's HTTPS will invoke this entire process again, leaving an opening for a man-in-the-middle attack anytime you do anything. For servers that we connect to and services that we utilize frequently, shouldn't there be a mechanism of utilizing symmetric authentication? For servers and services that we connect to and utilize frequently, there is an objective case to be made that some sort of symmetric authentication would be a dramatic improvement in security. Yes, symmetric encryption still requires an initial key exchange. And after that initial exchange, you are no longer susceptible to a man-in-the-middle attack. Whereas, if every connection established a session with an asymmetric encryption pattern, every connection is susceptible to a man-in-the-middle attack. Now let's go over an example symmetric authentication protocol. Red blocks indicate they're encrypted with a shared key. Blue indicate they're plain text. Starting off a session request is a plain text public user ID. This is kind of like an IP address. We throw in some random noise, we add a timestamp, and then we propose a session key. This is our session request. Notice that the noise, timestamp, and proposed session key are all encrypted with the shared key. The session acknowledgement is constructed of more random noise, a timestamp, and a hash of the decrypted request. At this point, communication can proceed with the proposed session key. Let's break this down a little bit more. The user public ID is used by servers to look up the shared key for that particular client. The timestamp inside of the session request and acknowledgement prevent these packets from being replayed, as the server and the client can check if it's out of date. The hash of the decrypted request that's sent in the acknowledgement confirms to the sender that the server indeed had the key. This fact is doubly confirmed by the fact that the session acknowledgement should have been encrypted with the shared key. I've always been a big fan of symmetric encryption. Asymmetric encryption is one of those things where you go, it's a little bit of a gamble. There are lots of potential problems with it, but because of how flexible it is, it's become de facto. When designing your security protocol, if you have the flexibility, make sure to look into the possibility of symmetric authentication routines. Even just changing the frequency at which you are susceptible to a man-in-the-middle attack is a tremendous advantage. These symmetric shared keys should be refreshed periodically. Is it possible that the best approach is a blend of symmetric and asymmetric encryption? That's what I believe. I do not believe that every request should begin with an asymmetric authentication procedure.